it started making funny noises and everything was moving, like the blinds and everything. So, and then we heard people going down the stairs, and since we're from out of state, we figured we should probably leave the building also. We don't get a lot of those up in Washington, so yeah, it was interesting. It rocked for a long time, the building did.
Now, to the north here in Los Angeles, we did not feel any major shaking, but the earthquake early warning system, which is relatively new in California, went off. You can see us. That's me walking in right there in the middle with our bureau chief, Bonnie, behind me, and our deputy bureau chief, Matt Claiborne, sitting in his seat. You see us all get under there when the earthquake early warning system went off, and it was telling us that shaking was coming. We did not feel it here, Jay, but it does give you the warning now to take cover before those ripples that were being felt in San Diego County made it north up into Los Angeles. Now, the LA Fire Department has gone into what it calls earthquake mode.
The San Diego earthquake sparked fear as residents were warned only seconds before it got hit. Katy Perry went to space and created one of the worst viral photos ever. And CNN's Caitlin Collins gets destroyed by President Trump and his team in the White House. Guys, we got some pretty interesting topics today, so let's go ahead and jump right into it with this earthquake in San Diego. Now, it's not hard to feel anxious when you hear about earthquakes happening all over the globe, right? I mean, just a few weeks ago, there was a 7.7 magnitude earthquake that rocked Myanmar. Hundreds of people were affected. It was so powerful that the buildings and bridges collapsed. Meanwhile, a skyscraper in Bangkok actually crumbled, frightening everyone all around who were already running for their lives. Luckily, the earthquake in San Diego wasn't nearly as strong, although it did still shake up a lot of people who were surprised by California's early warning system.
A powerful 5.2 magnitude earthquake rocking Southern California.
San Diego must have been like a 5 point something.
Shaking buildings and sending residents scrambling. This mother grabbing her baby from a playpen, rushing outdoors to safety. A baby monitor capturing this 11-month-old child rattled in her crib. In a classroom, students sheltering under their desks with their teacher.
Thank you. We need to be safe with our head.
The earthquake hitting just after 10 a.m. local time. The epicenter near Julian, California, roughly 40 miles northeast of San Diego. Officials say no immediate reports of injuries, but the incident still jarring.
Oh my God. That was so scary.
This woman who took cover in her office in downtown San Diego telling us the quake triggered her memories of similar tremors back home in Mexico City. As the shuddering stopped today in Southern California, residents taking stock of the aftermath. Cracks in a patio in Chula Vista widening. A highway left littered with rocks in Santa Isabel.
Is everywhere.
This liquor store manager in Julian documenting the damage after the quake shook bottles off his shelves.
Glass falling, whiskey, scotch, an assortment of different bottles. First time in 15 years I felt this kind of earthquake here. So it was definitely one for the books.
Governor Gavin Newsom posting on X saying he's been briefed on the quake. His team's now assessing if emergency response is needed.
Millions of residents received a text alert about the earthquake. Now, some people claim that they got it 5 to 10 seconds before they felt the quake itself. In fact, the message read, "Earthquake detected. Drop, cover, hold on. Protect yourself." Now, to date, it's reported that no one has been injured or negatively affected by this earthquake. Thank God, right? And hey, guys, I keep getting messages from you guys, comments saying, "Hey, Ron, I keep missing your videos. I keep missing the breaking news. Can you please make sure I get notified?" So I've taken care of you guys. All you got to do is hit the link in the description down below this video or in the pinned comment and join the breaking news newsletter. That's it. Totally free. On to our next topic, where Jeff Bezos sends his, for lack of a better term, phallic rocket into space. And I'm not kidding, because they're selling a model of this thing. It's 1/66th the size of the actual rocket. And you're not going to believe just how much they're selling these things for. Now, I'm going to give you guys a second to think about it. That's right, guys. They're selling these little bad boys for like $69 each. Now, it's called Blue Origin, and they recently sent up an all-female crew to space. And just to give you an idea as to how insufferable this trip was, listen to this interview of Dr. Mae Jemison.
I don't think a lot of people knew. They thought it was just 6 women going up into space for a joyride.
Wait, what do you mean just 6 women?
Well, that's what I mean. That was the criticism.
6 women.
That's right.
Right. But he's speaking to the perspective and some of the narratives that
are out there that I was hoping to correct with this interview, and I'm glad that you're here to help me correct that narrative. So explain to our audience why even a trip like this one, all the trips that we take into space benefit mankind.
So it benefits humankind, and I'm going to keep correcting the mankind and the man-made and the man missions, because this is exactly what this mission is about, is expanding the perspective of who does space.
Check in the dictionary here and let me see. Mankind. Human beings considered collectively, the human race. And let's be clear here, this is like a tourist trip. They didn't accomplish anything at all besides going up in space, taking a few selfies, and posing for the cameras. This is literally all it was, besides being a very expensive ad for Jeff Bezos.
Pop singer Katy Perry is officially an astronaut.
Katy!
And very happy to be back on Earth.
This experience is second to being a mom.
Perry, part of an all-female crew aboard billionaire Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin spacecraft, which blasted off Monday morning from the fields of West Texas. A star-studded trip to the edge of space, about 105 kilometers up, lasting all of 10 minutes, but enough time to enter zero gravity.
Oh my God, that was amazing.
On board, CBS Morning Show host Gayle King and Bezos' fiancée, Lauren Sanchez. Onlookers the likes of Oprah and the Kardashian family. And if all this spectacle has gotten your attention, well, that's the point.
Have you ever dreamed of going to space? A once-in-a-lifetime journey is closer than you think.
That phrase heard multiple times during the live stream of the launch, suggesting anyone can now travel to space. Not mentioned, though, the total cost. But you will need a deposit of $150,000 USD just to reserve a seat.
What we are not seeing is the cost of space travel go down enough to make it available even to the very wealthy. You know, if you have $10 million, it might be very hard still to go to space.
Now, before we get to the next topic, I want to read this post from Wendy's X account. In a post that reads, Katy Perry has returned from space. Wendy's responded by asking, can we send her back? Wendy's also made fun of Katy Perry seemingly kissing the ground after returning from space. And again, they were there for a good, 11 minutes. NASA astronauts Sunny Williams and Butch Wilmore was stuck in space for 9 months. Just to give you guys a little bit of perspective when it comes to how dramatic the space tour was for Katy Perry. Urgent warning, guys, the job market is collapsing. The economy is shrinking fast. Layoffs are skyrocketing. The Trump tariffs are already shaking industries. The media won't tell you this, but most high-paying jobs, they're disappearing. And the ones that do remain, they're soon going to be out of reach. But here's the good news, guys. I've put together a list of 30-plus jobs that pay around $100,000 per year without a degree. These are recession-proof jobs, and some are even set to explode in demand thanks to this economic shakeup. No college degree required, no student debt, just real jobs that pay. But I promise, guys, this list is not going to be available forever. So get it right now. Get it before these jobs are flooded by the competition. I'm going to go ahead and leave a link down below so you can get your free list of the 30-plus jobs that pay over $100,000 without a college degree. So download this list before it's too late. Now, moving on, guys, President Donald Trump had El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele in the White House recently, with both of these men taking questions from the media. Now, what's funny is that the beef between the president and Katie Collins continues. This comes as he outright embarrasses Caitlin Collins for asking about the MS-13 gang member that was sent to El Salvador.
Return the man who your administration says was mistakenly deported. The man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador?
Well, let me ask Pam, would you answer that question?
Sure, President. First and foremost, he was illegally in our country. He had been illegally in our country. And in 2019, two courts, an immigration court and an appellate immigration court, ruled that he was a member of MS-13 and he was illegally in our country. Right now, it was additional paperwork had needed to be done. That's up to El Salvador if they want to return him. That's not up to us. The Supreme Court ruled, President, that if, as El Salvador wants to return him, this is international matters, foreign affairs, if they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
So will you return him?
And you are doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank
Wait a minute. Can you just also respond to that question? Because, it's asked by CNN, and they always ask it with a slant, because they're totally slanted because they don't know what's happening. That's why nobody's watching them. But would you answer that question also, please?
Yes, gladly. So, as Pam mentioned, there's an illegal alien from El Salvador. So, with respect to you, he's a citizen of El Salvador. So, it's very arrogant even for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens as a starting point. As 2 immigration courts found that he was a member of MS-13. When President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign terrorist organization, that meant that he was no longer eligible under federal law, which I'm sure you know, you're very familiar with the INA, that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States. So he had a deportation order that was valid, which meant that under our law, he's not even allowed to be present in the United States and had to be returned because of the foreign terrorist designation. This issue was then, by a district court judge, completely inverted, and a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised with the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful, and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State nor the President could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador, who again is a member of MS-13, which, as I'm sure you understand, rapes little girls, murders women, murders children, is engaged in the most barbaric activities in the world, and I can promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away.
Now, Collins seems to be a glutton for punishment because she tried to divert the questions to El Salvador's president. This is something that he didn't find amusing at all.
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm supposed to not suggesting that I'll smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right?
It's always
how can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
But you could release him inside El Salvador.
Yeah, but I'm not releasing, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. We just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? No, that's not going to happen.
Well, they'd love to have a criminal, released into it.
There's a fascination.
They would love it.
Yeah.
They're sick. These are sick people.
That's just how legacy media rolls. They want to scare people as much as they can with all of this propaganda. Which brings me to talk about a recent live stream that I did where I talked about the changes that are coming to Social Security. We continue to be told that cuts will be made that may affect your benefits. This is something that I completely clear up over there, so make sure you guys check that video out. As always, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for hitting the like button and subscribing. We'll see you next time.